Oh yo, what is up you guys, it's K-Slate here, and today we're gonna make that saw horn type sound that you heard at the very beginning from the intro clip. That's actually from this session right here, and it's kind of like a bingo player's rattle type horn. It's very simple sound, so it's actually quite easy to do inside a Serum or any synth, as long as it has the same kind of basic things like filter, distortion, and a saw oscillator. So that's all you really need for this, and as you can see, there's no processing on this, very simple. So let's go ahead and play this for you by itself so you get an idea what it sounds like by itself. So this is what it sounds like. As you can see, there's no processing here, it's all in Serum. So let's just go ahead and throw up the patch for you guys to go ahead and pause the video, copy it down, so that way you really get this one the way it is. And we're gonna go ahead and after that, remake a new one from scratch, and we'll get it to be its own thing. So not going for an exact remake. I'll explain things I do here and there, and let's go ahead and throw up that preset now. Now let's go ahead and just make a new one together. So I've duplicated this track already, have the same MIDI. Now we just have an initialize Serum there. So now let's go ahead and open that up. And let's go ahead and make our own settings before we get started. So let's turn on things like Memento a bit. Let's put up a little bit of curve on that. Set it to always. Let's put our pitch bend where we like it to be, up and down an octave or so. Something like this. And let's go to effects. So I like to rearrange the effects. I like to take out the effects I know I'm not going to use and kind of put them in the order that I probably would use them in. So that way it's when it's time to use effects, I just turn them on and set the settings. So let's take out flanger, phaser, chorus, delay. Let's put those at the bottom. No, I'm not going to use those. We'll leave our filter at the bottom because we're going to want to filter some things. EQ more towards the top. Distortion after the compressor. Reverb after the distortion. And filter at the end. So now all I have to do later on is just come in here and turn these all on and set the settings. So it makes it a little bit easier when you know what your processing or your effects is going to be like. So that way you're kind of tweaking the oscillators to fit that kind of stuff. So let's go ahead now and go back to part A, and let's turn on our filter. Let's push it back. We don't need it to be filtering too much. Let's route all the other oscillators through the filter, and let's take a listen. Okay, so we have a good starting point, so let's start tweaking our first oscillator. So let's add some more voices to it. I like to always keep it on an odd number. I think it just sounds better. And let's bring the detune in, so let's listen and tweak this. And by the way, I love using bend minus plus just because it makes our saw shape a little bit fatter, as you can see. So this is also fun to throw on some like envelopes. So maybe we could try an envelope 2 on our detune and on our bend plus and minus. So we'll do a little bit here. Let's actually tweak this a bit. So let's get a little bit less decay and a lot more release, something like that. And this is probably going to sound a lot cooler on our detune. So let's hear that. Let's go ahead and start adjusting other things like our envelope, and let's get some of these oscillators down. So let's go ahead and solo, and you'll probably see what I'll do. I'm going to try to add an oscillator B as well and see if I can find something that provides like some higher harmonics to combine with this fat saw right here. So I call it a fat saw just because it's a little bit more rounded now. So let's listen to it. Okay, so we added in a pulse wave PWM kind of thing here, and I brought it down an octave, so I'm kind of debating whether I want this up or down an octave. I could always do a pitch effect on it, make it go up an octave kind of quickly, but I like it like this. I think that having this down an octave replaces the need for adding a sub, which all I would do is just add a saw in here and maybe just leave it at 0, so we can play around with that as well. So we'll throw an envelope 2 there. So envelope 2 is now my main like modulator thing, so it's just a way to quickly get everything to quickly go up and then down. So it's like with the detune here on oscillator A, it's just bringing the detune up really quickly and on the attack and then just going away. So it's a nice way to have a high amount of something and then back it down to more reasonable settings that sound better. So let's go ahead and start adjusting the filter. Let's go ahead and continue on. I think we're ready for effects now. So let's go ahead and go over here. And like I said, it's really cool that we just have our effects in a way that makes sense. Like if I try to think of Serum when I use it as like the way I would throw in my chain of processing. So I know I would have some EQ and compression, and then some distortion, reverb after that, and then a filter at the end. So that's exactly what my chain would be if it was externally outside of the synth. So in here, we're just gonna also add some hyper and dimension. So dimension is kind of like dimension expander. It's just like a false width. It's just delaying the sides from each other, makes it seem wider. And hyper is just kind of like a way to detune what we've already done even more. So it's like adding more detuned voices to the detuned voices we have now. So it's kind of crazy. So let's listen to it and tweak that. Let's go ahead and move on down the line. So I'm skipping EQ and we'll go to distortion. We might not need it. And we'll throw up, actually let's put up the reverb settings. So I'm pretty sure I'm gonna stick to what I always do. It's just like bring down the size, add low cut. That's pretty much it. So I already have a reverb send, so I don't need too much reverb, but just for the sake of the preset, I'll add a bit of this. And the filter, let's go ahead and just bring in a low pass 18 or something like that. Let's bring it up to around 7,000 or 8,000, and we'll go ahead and just turn it on in a sec. So let's listen to this. So it sounds close. It's not as horn sounding as the first one, just because I think maybe we're cutting a bit more frequencies here. So let's back this down. Let's also throw a little bit of envelope 2 on this, and let's hear it now. Alright, so that ended up being a lot closer to the original patch I showed you at the beginning than I thought. I thought I was going to make something a little bit more different, but it's okay. It was fun to make it again, and even though it sounds different, it's very similar. So anyways, I'll be doing more Serum tutorials this week and next week because I'm making a Serum bank for you guys. So by the end of the month, that should be done. And so let me know what else you want to see in Serum, because I'm making a whole bunch of sounds right now for Serum. So thanks guys for watching, and of course, stay